Well, guys, I think it's about time I did something that I haven't done in a while. No, it's not review a bad Transformer. If I had the time and ability to do that video, I would have done it by now. I'm referring to reviewing a Kamen Rider roleplay toy, and this time, I'm going to show you the Meteor Storm Shaft. Stop giggling! Obviously, there are a lot of elements to this toy, so we're going to go a piece at a time, and we're going to start off with the shaft, just to get it out of the way. Now, as you can see, it's pretty simple and pretty short. Just like most Kamen Rider roleplay weapons, it is unfortunately much smaller than it is in the show, because, well, we're not going to give a kid a full-size plastic weapon to beat his little sister with. But what they do have here is a very nicely detailed piece. You can see all the details all the way up the staff itself, very accurately molded in, and a lot of paint given to the top. The Bandai silver and gold very present, and some translucent yellow for the buttons we can see. Now, there's a few functions for those buttons, but there are no electronics in the shaft itself, so not a whole lot that this can do on its own. Now, one yellow button does have a function. It's spring-loaded, and for that we need to see the other end, this big rocket thing. I'm not quite sure what it is. It looks like a probe or satellite of some type. But once I hit this translucent button, you get a little bit of a spring action out of it, just like the metal shaft that I reviewed a while back. You only get about an extra 3 inches on the length, just enough to take it out of frame, even all the way back against the blackboard. It's a nice little action feature, but, you know, at least it does something. There's a lot more that it does, actually, but we need to get to the rest of the toy first. And that means it's time to talk about the switch itself. The Meteor Storm switch, done up in a very nice translucent blue with a lot of glitter in it, reflecting the look of Meteor Storm himself. You can see the Meteor logo in gold, very reflective, as all the DX stickers are, and the familiar plug-in paint on the sides. You can also see the fingerprint scanner from the Meteor Galaxy, which unfortunately I never got my hands on. Heard it was a cool toy. Oh well. I think the biggest thing people noticed is the giant top on it. Yes, it looks like a Beyblade, and it doesn't help that it comes with a ripcord. I will say, they come with 2 ripcords, because if this thing bends or breaks, well, you've got a problem on your hands. But Bandai had the foresight to actually think of that first. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate the top here without releasing it. Insert. Nice little spin function. And we'll give it one nice pull. Let it rip! Ooh, that's a nice little color effect. Now, I assume it works like the older top toys that I play with that light up. Little ball bearings in there that the centrifugal force forces against the electronic connection, creating the light effect. It's complex, and I'd have to open it up to know for sure, but that's how they used to work. But in this case, it's just a really nice light up top. You disengage it with the 2 buttons on the side. They both have to be hit in order to activate it. And as you can see, it's a nice, simple little top design. I will tell you right now, do not pit this against a Beyblade. A Beyblade built for battle, much harder plastic than this translucent stuff that traditionally does not handle stress and impact very well. You'll most likely get this thing very, very damaged by doing so, though I do know there are videos of people who have tried it. Oh, and before anyone asks, I did attempt to demonstrate this in full, but as you can see, tops have this really annoying thing where they don't like staying still. It's weird how that works. Unfortunately, that means I can't really demonstrate a full spin with this top. Needless to say, on a good pull, it goes a really long time. It is a very efficient top toy. Now, of course, there are other electronic effects to this toy, but none really involving the top itself. In fact, the switch itself can't even tell the top is there. Turning on this side, speaker on this side.
Meteor storm, stand by.
No light up effects for the switch itself. They pretty much use that up on the top. Nice sounds though. This release button has a few sounds of its own. We've heard that on the Meteor driver before. The button on the other side doesn't do anything, however. You also have some sound effects with this switch. So a little bit it can do all on its own. But to really show you what it can do, we're gonna need the belt itself, which means that we need the ride bucket! Yes, the most powerful bucket in the universe makes a return to my reviewing stage to show off the Meteor Storm Switch. And let's not waste its time. The ride bucket has cleanup closets to save. I don't know. Let's just demonstrate the switch.
Meteor storm!
I do really like how the two work together in order to create the full sound effect. Well, that's about to change. I'm hitting the off-frame button now.
Meteor on, ready?
Now, unfortunately, what is a really cool Henshin song is kind of spoiled by the fact that the belt's audio overplays it. That's really kind of a letdown. I mean, it's still cool that they try to make the two sound effects work together, but it doesn't quite work. Now, for those wondering, the button still makes the normal little Meteor driver sound. And if I went all the way, yes, it would play the limit break, but it just recognizes it as a normal Meteor switch. So it's no different than when I reviewed the belt the first time. I'll see. That works. So let me give you a more proper demonstration, because the best way to do this is by turning the belt off at the right time so that only the sound effects that it needs end up playing.
Meteor on, ready?
Now that is a lot better. Aside from that clacking. When done, turn off and extract, and the driver will make the extraction noise. Now let's get back to this part of the toy and see what it can actually do when combined with the switch. First off, it does combine quite flush with the switch because, well, of course, they're meant to look like one piece once connected. Very nice indeed. Now, once it's joined in, the first thing you'll notice is the length is now, with that extended, a full 21 inches long. Not too bad, though in an adult hand it does come off as something of a Kamen Rider magic wand. I don't know if that is a teaser for Wizard or not. We will see. We will see. But I don't expect a full staff. It's just nice that they tried. As far as swinging this thing around as a kid would be prone to do, the switch isn't going anywhere. These yellow buttons are latches that are hanging onto it nice and tight. Holding both is the only way to pull it free. And before anyone asks, yeah, I've tried other switches in this, and only the round switches fit, of course, but since there are no electronics in the staff, none of them do anything. Even the electronic ones, the notches that are required to activate the electronic switches aren't present in this. So Cosmic and Super Rocket don't do anything, and as a matter of fact, End Magnet doesn't fit at all. Kind of strange that. But let's focus on the switch we actually have on hand. The Meteor Storm switch, and it's time for the Meteor Storm Punisher. Now, as you saw, the top tends to throw itself off of my table, so I'm not going to pull it free for this, but I will demonstrate all of the sound effects we activate with the button. This button now activates the limit break's finishing attack. Nice big bang, I like that. Reattach here. Now, that button has also changed in another way. Once attached to the shaft itself, it makes thwacking sound effects. I love a button that changes sound effects as you play. Gives it a little bit more variety, a little bit more versatility. Speaking of, this actually has a hidden feature, much like the Cosmic Switch does. Activating this button 3 times before inserting it into the shaft will activate a charged up version of the limit break sound effect. Listen. Twice.
Max power.
And that is all set. I'm going to leave the button down this time because doing that will activate it the way it does in the show, immediately upon connection.
Limit break.
One more time, listen for the difference.
Okay. Complete.
So some extra voices and much more pinballing there in the middle. Quite enjoy that. And I like when they hide little features like that in these toys. So that is the total package that is the Meteor Storm shaft. How does it fare? Well, you might be disappointed in the length, yes, because in the show it is a full bow staff, and here it amounts to a little more than a club. And yes, the top is a little goofy for a Kamen Rider weapon, I will admit. However, what this thing does lack in believability, I think it more than makes up for in play options. I mean, you do have to admit, there's a lot going on here between the switch, the top, and the weapon mode. So I find a lot of variety and a lot of play value with this toy as a total package. Now mine of course came from HobbyLink Japan, and as of this recording they are having a huge sale on Kamen Rider stuff right now in preparation for Wizard. That includes a bunch of items that I've reviewed in the past, so if you've been looking at anything in their section or anything that I've been reviewing, go take a look. You might get it for quite a steal right now. I mean, come on guys, they're asking $24 for a birth driver right now. I mean, really, how do you say no? And remember, once a new Rider series takes over, the toys from the previous series all shoot up in value, meaning they come very, very expensive on the secondhand market. So if you're eyeballing anything from Fourze, now's the time to get it before you lose your chance, or before the price shoots up, either way. Speaking of, I've got to do that myself. There is one last Fourze toy that has really been catching my eye. Which one that is, and will I review it? Well, keep an eye out. You never know. Okay, just one more time.